Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com discussing the pandemic in America. 1 year ago this week, the New York Times bashed Sweden's approach to COVID-19. Sweden didn't engage in any of the draconian actions which other countries did. They didn't lock down, they didn't mandate masks, they didn't close their borders. They didn't close their restaurants or schools, and as a result, the New York Times predicted they were going to have a huge number of deaths. Experts predicted that Sweden was going to have almost 100,000 COVID-19 deaths by June of last year. But as it turned out, over the last 3 years, the number of deaths in Sweden has been barely above the decadal average. And their excess mortality rates since the start of the pandemic are about 1/3 of the United States, under the direction of Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci bashed Sweden's approach repeatedly, but Sweden did much better than the United States. So let's take a look at what's really going on. 60% of Americans have chronic disease. This is up from 7.5% in the year 1935. And 1 in 4 adults in the United States have multiple chronic conditions. States in the South, which had high death rates from the Delta variant, also have very high rates of multiple chronic conditions. It's been known since the early days of the pandemic that chronic conditions were the primary cause of death. This was reported by Bloomberg on March 18, 2020. 99% of those who died from virus had other illnesses, Italy says. And the average age of death in Italy was 79.5 years old, which is about the same as from all other causes. Northern Italy has some of the dirtiest air in the world. Lots of people there have chronic lung disease, so it's not surprising that they had a high death rate. This is deaths by age group in the United States from the CDC. Very few children have died from COVID-19. According to the CDC, it's 0%. The real pandemic in the U.S. is that chronic disease rates have increased by almost a factor of 10 over the last 90 years, and almost 2/3 of Americans are suffering from chronic disease. Instead of dealing with the real problem, the government is running off and trying to vaccinate children. And something else that's skyrocketing in the U.S. since the election is energy prices. Joe Biden promised to shut down oil exploration on public lands. He did that, and now energy prices have more than doubled. The point being that nothing the Biden administration is doing makes any sense. It's difficult for Toto to believe that this level of incompetence could be accidental. Skyrocketing energy prices should give the Republicans a huge advantage in next year's election. Joe Biden is handing the Republicans an incredible gift. But instead of taking advantage of it, the Republicans want to talk about climate change. Instead of leading America out of trouble, the Republicans seem to want to be slightly less useless followers of the Democrats. We don't seem to have any leaders who want to deal with the real issues facing America. In fact, we don't seem to have any leaders at all. Toto's been pulling back the curtain on this decay for the past 13 years. You can visit him, Curie, and Caesar on the web at RealClimateScience.com.